for day 3. Listen to my pump up song. Can you hear it? Otherwise you're just gonna think I'm a nut bar for dancing around. Okay, what are we doing here? I was trying to hide the laundry basket in the background. What's happening with my hair? Okay. To turn off my Thunderstruck. Seriously, what's happening here? All right, welcome in, ladies. As you're hopping in, hey, Julie, I just saw you hopped in. Welcome to day 3. Today is my favorite piece of the puzzle because it's all about executing. So I talk a lot about owning your fire. So you'll hear me talk all the time actually about find your fire because I really want you to get clear on what you want instead of what you think you should want or should do all the time, right? But then the next step is you made a plan yesterday, you mapped it all out, and now the next step, the third step that's key is executing. Remember yesterday I talked a lot about seeing it through all the way. So what I see happening all the time, and I know this inside out because I used to do this all the time, we get to a place where we think we have a system nailed down, or we think we have the solution, or we think we have the strategy that we want to use, but then we find ourselves self-sabotaging on some level, right? Hey Liz, I just saw you hopped in. So what that looks like can be avoidance. So all of a sudden you're like super busy with your laundry, or you really have to run to the store and get groceries, or you really have to do XYZ. So avoidance can look like literally going and doing other things. And it's like so easy to get pulled into that stuff, especially as moms, because it's all around us all the time. But avoidance can also be constantly searching, for new things to learn, because a lot of us are serial learners, right? Like, who can relate to that? If you're a serial learner, you absolutely love to learn new things, just put #serial learner. Because I think a lot of us are guilty of that. And I don't think that any of us are interested in not continuously learning over the course of our lives. I think we'll always be craving information and like a new edge, things that are changing. Like, we love that stuff. But the problem is when it comes to your business, we get caught in this cycle where we're just always scrolling social media, downloading the next freebie, attending the next thing, buying the next course, jumping into the next program. But what happens is we're just creating distractions all over the place, which is another form of avoidance. Serial learner. Yes, I do think all ambitious moms have this problem. Okay, so here's the thing. Part of what we're going to talk about today when I'm talking about executing, sounds like such a serious word, hey? Whenever I write it out, I'm like, do they know that I'm not talking about being an executioner? I mean, literally, like, become someone who executes on what you said you were going to do to yourself. Not too long ago, I put out a poll in our group and I said, on a scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at executing consistently, following through when it comes to things in your life, in your business, or for yourself? And almost everyone said, pretty good at life, because that's other people that are depending on you. Hey, Allison. Life is easy to execute because it's your kids, it's your spouse, it's yourself, or it's like running the household, making sure everybody's got what they need. It's very easy for us to just go into that servant leadership when it comes to our family, or for a neighbor, or for your parents, or for your siblings, or whatever, friends, family. Very easy to execute for them. Then when it comes to business, easy to execute when you had a job because you had deadlines and a boss that was going to remind you of things, right? Like, we're paying you to do XYZ, you need to do it. But then when it comes to executing in your business, super easy to fall into the trap of learning more constantly, which is a distraction, which is avoidance. But also very easy to when the buck stops with you, it's so much easier to just let that fall to the wayside. Or to put a whole bunch of things on a list of things to do and then not to know where to start. So you start a bunch of things, but you never actually finish any of them, right? But then the third category I asked about was, how well do you execute when it comes to yourself? Do you follow through on promises you make to yourself? So that's usually something to do with self-care, or like exercise, drinking enough water, eating properly, whatever it is. It's very easy for us to fall into, and most of us have been doing this for years. I'm guilty of this so much too. I'm trying to get better at it, is breaking promises to yourself. So, like I said, easy to execute and go follow through and get something done when it's for a friend or a family or somebody. Probably middle of the road for your business because you do need to make money. So you're like, oh, I gotta force myself to do this, right? We want to get away from that. I'm going to talk about that today. And then the third piece is, well, I can always be the one on the back burner, right? Like going for a walk or going for whatever. I love my outfit every day is Lululemon's. And so everyone just naturally assumes that I'm like this crazy worker outer. And I have not seen the inside of a gym, and I bet you, I don't know, 10 years, unless I've walked past one, you know what I mean, and looked inside. I'm not a worker outer. This is another big, huge piece of my life that I need to start executing properly on. So what I'm going to talk about today is executing. And we're going to talk a lot, obviously, about business, but I want you to keep in mind that what I want you to move forward on and to get really honest with yourself on is, are you executing in your life, in your business, and with yourself? So that's just how I wanted to kind of pre-frame it. So let's dive in. Okay, so I need a pen, Sharpie. Okay, so let me ask you this, whether you're live or watching the replay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how well are you executing? Give me a number for these 3 categories: life, business, self. This is breaking promises or keeping promises to yourself, right? So yesterday we laid out a whole plan. Give me a number on a scale of 1 to 10 for all 3 of these. Life, pretty good for me. Business, getting better all the time. And then self, in the shitter. But now I'm pregnant, so now I'm like making better choices because it's for someone else again. Which categories, I would say that categories puts me back into the life category because it's for someone else. Okay, so yesterday, this is what I want to talk about. Yesterday we mapped it out, right? So we talked about business basics, which are your brand, your audience, your sales, and in between, your brand and your audience becomes your messaging, and in between your audience and whatever it is that you're selling sits your offers, right? I think everybody can kind of see that flow. So I told you guys, hopefully you guys have all been able to go back and watch day 2 by now, but if not, it's a long one, but it's full of everything that you need to start nailing down in order to get to today, when we're like, okay, we have our plan, we have our calendar, we have everything nailed down, and now we just need to go and frickin' do it, right? So the basics are your brand, your messaging, your audience, your offers, and whatever it is that you're selling. Then you got to figure out what is the strategy that you will actually follow through on. Because when it comes to executing, you got to put yourself in a position where you actually will do it. So don't pick strategies. We talked about this yesterday a lot. Don't pick strategies that you know you won't execute and follow through on. Like, get super clear. What's the number here that you're giving yourself for business? How well you execute? If you're at a 5 today and you know you need to get to an 8, then that's awesome, because we know exactly what we need to work on. But it's all this stuff comes into play now. Make sure your lead gen strategy, super, super important. Julie, if you're watching, you said lead gen is where you're falling down on your face, which everybody thinks they have a sales problem, but 99% of the time it's a lead gen problem. So I talked a lot yesterday about how visibility strategy is not the same as a lead gen strategy. Because you can post 100 times a day, and if Aunt Shirley's the only one that sees your stuff, you're still not going to sell $1 million worth of stuff to her, right? So we have to get super clear on what our strategy is for our visibility, our lead gen, and our process, our sales process. I actually like to take the word sales out of the process just because I think it screws people up in their head. But this is the customer journey, right? This is the process you want to bring people through. These are the steps you want somebody to take to jump into a position where you have the chance to make a sale. So let's call it the customer journey. And then I wanted you to build out a simple system, which is just what are the action steps that you need to take to make that strategy that you chose realistic. And so what I mean is, if you said, okay, I want to do, 3 posts a day. So I said you could batch out your content, which is obviously a lot of us are busy moms. Batching out your content, super important. So take 2 hours to do your 12 posts and schedule them out so that all your main content is already gone for the whole month. And now you can just be into your normal mode where you share whatever comes to mind, but you're not stressed about it every day. It's already done. It's taken care of. That is the system that you're putting in place to make sure your visibility strategy is executed, right? Same thing with lead gen. If you picked reach outs, then you're gonna nail down, okay, what's my system for that? I need to do 8 reach outs a day. I need that to make sure I'm jumping on X amount of coffee chats, blah, 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 blah. But these are all the actions here in your system that you get to control. You can't control how many people buy from you. You can control how many people you invite to one of your Looking Glass events. See the difference? This is all the stuff that you get to control, so that you don't sit there saying like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I don't know why nobody's coming to work with me. I don't know, whatever. You have to control your own destiny in your online business. Because the days of somebody just like landing on your visibility, if this is all you're doing, and being like, I need to work with you. It happens on once in a blue moon, but not very often. So you can't rely on just posting on your social media as your lead gen strategy and as your sales process with a call to action. You have to create leads. You have to generate leads. That's why it's called a lead gen strategy. And then you need a process here. So we used Liz as an example yesterday about how she hosts free masterclasses. And then at the end of her masterclass, she gives everyone a call to action to jump on a free consult call with her. And then she usually closes about 50% of the calls that she jumps onto. So now she's able to just back up her numbers to say, okay, how many reach outs do I need to do for her lead gen to equal enough people in her pipeline, in her sales funnel, in her whatever, in her world, that she can invite 20 of them to a masterclass, to have 6 of them show up live, to have 3 of them sign as clients. So she knows that if she wants to sign 6 clients a month, she has to do 2 masterclasses with at least 20 people invited. So you see how that flow goes? But now all of a sudden, she has all this stuff nailed down, and now she just has to focus here on her system that she's created so that she can go execute it. And then I also said yesterday, once you have these ideas nailed down, schedule it into your calendar. When are your events going to happen? Now you know exactly, like I showed you guys my post-it note. This is as fancy as it gets. Where did it go? It's hiding under my computer. This is fancy scheduling. I have my little list of all my launches and all my summits with the topics. And this is how I started my schedule for the whole year. So I literally have my launch schedule done until January 16th. So, I mean, I put it in my calendar and now it's saved. Can you guys see this at the bottom? So schedule in your events that you want to host, and not everyone's going to have a year worth at the beginning. Maybe you're like, oh, I've never even run a masterclass or a workshop or a challenge or, you know, anything before. Okay, well, that's fine. Like, let's just start with one, right? And it's so amazing how easy it is once you get the hang of it. It's just like riding a bike, which is such a cliche thing to use as an example, but it really gets so much easier once you've just done it a couple times. So if you want to host your first masterclass, or you want to start with 1 per month, get it on the calendar so you know exactly what you're marketing towards. Make sure that your lead gen strategy and your process match up with whatever it is that you've decided. Some people don't host events at all. Some people just get on calls. So it could be a clarity call, a strategy call, a consult call, whatever you want it to be. But we got to get super honest with ourselves about the fact that people on the internet will not find you unless you are purposely going out and intentionally pulling them in. So if you want to use SEO, that's totally cool. You're going to have to pump out a lot of content with a lot of the right keywords, which is fine. But don't forget that that's going to take some time to catch on. Usually SEO experts say it takes at least 6 months for your SEO engine to really pick up. Still getting nervous doing live events, but it gets easier. Your next one is a collaboration. That's perfect. But so here's the other thing about it. Now you're going to have a collaboration, which is going to put a little bit more energy into it for you, right? And you might find, oh, I really love doing this with somebody else. Plus, we're cross-pollinating our audiences. What I would say is go collaborate as much as you can with somebody that has kind of a similar size following to you. And that way you're both benefiting big time. And also, if you really want to kickstart your momentum for your lead gen, go do the Power Hour for 90 days. Like, it's so key that you go out and actually put your name out there and start talking to people. If you want to know how to do that, just let me know. Obviously, I can help with that. But this is what we talked about yesterday. So this is your map it out. Day 1, we talked about find your fire. Day 2, we talked about mapping it out so that you actually have the clarity you need. And as soon as you have that clarity and you make those decisions and you nail that stuff down, then it builds that confidence for you to stay committed to see it through, which is what we're talking about now. Okay, so did you guys give me numbers? I might have missed them. Numbers. I just see comments, I don't see numbers. But here's what the group said like a couple weeks ago when we did this. Life was pretty good. Most people said they were about an 8, which I think is fair for most of us. Whenever we're executing on behalf of other people, we're probably between like an 8 and a 9. The odd time we screw up. And our kids let us know, right? It's tough to rate yourself. Yeah, I think this is a key, really important piece and step to go through though, because it's you calling yourself out and just being like, listen, like I could sit here all day long and pretend I'm a 10 in all these areas, but that's not helpful, right? I'm probably like an 8 on life. I'm probably a 5, maybe 6. I think that was the average on business. And then I think Steph, when she said it, she was like, I'm only choosing 1 on self because 0 is not an option, because I said between 1 and 10. And so I think the average here was like about a 3 for self, because we break promises to ourselves all the time and we're so used to it that we barely even notice it anymore. Can you guys relate to that? Oh, Steph is here. Hey, Steph. Okay, so what if you were able to step into what I will call your next level? So today I'm going to talk about power, trust, and leadership. I need a different color. I need a sip of coffee too. I'm back on coffee, thank God. It was giving me heartburn so bad for like 2 months, but now I can have like a cup a day. Yes! And I can't officially suck my gut in anymore. Just so you guys all know, if you would like a little pregnancy update, look it. This is only 12 weeks. Baby number 4. That's a problem. Okay, so I'm gonna do a new sheet because I want to talk a lot about this stuff today. You go to the gym, treat yourself. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so you probably nailed down your exercise, but do you have places in your life where you need to take care of yourself in some other way, where you're breaking promises to yourself? That's what I mean. And it could be, Liz, that you're at an 8 with yourself, maybe, but what are you at your business and your life? You know what I mean? Like everybody has a different number and there's no right or wrong answer. It all comes down to, are we executing, yes or no? So in your business, what I mean is, if you said, I'm going to start batching out 12 posts, this is just an example. I'm going to start batching out 12 posts per month. I want to do it all on one day so that it's just out. So I'll create all my content and I'll find the graphics or the pictures that I want to put with it, and I'll go schedule them out with a planner, like a scheduler. And if you put that in your calendar and it's for Tuesday at 10 and it's Tuesday at noon, and now you actually just avoided it and just went and did other things that you felt like you probably should do that day instead, that's what I mean by, did you execute? Did you follow through and see it through what you said you were going to do? 1 minute of mindfulness every morning in a cold shower. Cold shower? Hells no for me. Good for you. That's really good for your body and your lymphatic system, but I am not doing it. Hot shower for this girl. I think it's good for my skin and my soul. Okay, so I want to talk about owning your fire. Because we get excited about something, and then it's almost like even if you got super excited on day 1 about what you wanted or had an aha moment, and you were like, oh my God, I'm chasing all these shoulds and I really want to go after what I want instead. That is step 1, and that's amazing if you figured that out. But then yesterday we mapped out a whole bunch of stuff, and whether you did half of it or you did the whole thing, kudos to you, congratulations. If you haven't done it yet, go back and watch day 2 replay. It's so key that you actually lay out your plan so clearly that all you have to do is go and execute. So power, trust, leadership. This is my favorite topic, which is called Own Your Fire, which is AKA execute, right? One of my favorite sayings that Andrea Crowder, I think she coined it, I don't know who did, but she used to say it all the time, is like, just do the damn thing, right? Whenever you're like, I don't know if I want to do that, blah, blah, blah. Well, is it something that you said that you were going to do? Just go do the damn thing. So this is the biggest hurdle. I feel like this is the biggest gap. Most of us have a million strategies. We've taken all the freebies, all the courses, all the programs. We could probably teach a course on different strategies by now. Who else feels like that? Like, tell me if you feel like you have a couple of, like you have more than one strategy that you've already learned. Your social content is not mapped out yet, but you got advice from social strategist. Imperfect messy action. Okay, so I want to talk about that really quickly because this is something that happens to us all the time. And I'm not saying don't go learn new things, but I'm saying, what if I challenged you for 90 days to stay focused on just what you mapped out yesterday? What if I told you that the biggest thing and the best thing you can do for your business is to lean into your personal power, which is your fire, what lights you up, what you're meant to do, what you actually want to talk about and teach about? What if it was trusting that what you know and what you already have inside of you is the thing that's going to light the way? You know what I mean? Like, this is something that I was guilty of for 5 years, is chasing down all the ideas and the strategies and the systems of the big fancy gurus. But at the end of the day, what all of those women have in common, the 7 and 8 figure earners I'm talking, is that they took a strategy and they made it their own. So what we, yes, stop and ask, you know exactly where I'm going with this. You know me too well. The thing about it is that if you want to step into leadership in your life and in your business, then we have to at some point close the ears and put the blinders on and say, okay, I am just going to execute on this first. So Liz, you and I nailed down your social media plan already. But now it's like we backpedal and we think, okay, but I have to go learn how to do it properly, or I have to learn the right way to do it. And yesterday you were asking about algorithms, and it's like such a valid question to ask. But at the end of the day, the most important thing on social media is to show up consistently and to put out content that's of value to your ideal client. That's it. That's how you win the race, the algorithm. Entertain people, empower people, educate people. That's what we do on social media, right? Or with any of the content that we put out. Entertain, empower, educate. We don't have to make it any harder than that. So when you want to think about those 3 things, if you're not like super funny or something, you can say, I want to inspire, I want to empower, I want to educate. Like, you can pick whatever the 3 are, but basically what it comes down to is entertain, because people want to connect. They want to think something's relatable. Like Liz, you share a lot of stuff about your girls or about your family. We already have everything that we actually need inside of us to go do this. So the challenge becomes, can I lead myself to stop being distracted all the time? And like I said at the very beginning, we're all serial learners. So we will always continue to want to learn new things, more things, of course, throughout our whole lives. But like, what if you put the blinders on just for 90 days and just said, I'm just gonna go and execute. I'm gonna trust myself that what I decided on day 2, when I mapped it out with Mara, that this is the key to my success. What if you just focused on that and just said, I'm just gonna execute on this? Because if you built out your strategy and your systems for exactly what you need to do and just focused here on this pink right here, just focused on these activities that you said would make this strategy happen, then that's all you need to do. And 90 days later, you're gonna have enough data to be able to say, okay, is this working? Where do I need to tweak this? What's happening, right? We're gonna be able to say, okay, this is perfect. You've been executing for 90 days. Maybe this has now gone up to a 8, because now you joined my program and I'm kicking your butt, because accountability is one of my favorite things. But some of us need our butts kicked. And like, I'm gonna do it with love, but I'm gonna say, like, do you want me to be a friend or a coach right now? And then I'm gonna call you out on your shit, right? So when you come in here, you step into your personal power, which means don't do it the same way everybody else is doing it. Start to figure out, like, who am I? Like, let that roar come from inside of you. That's your fire energy. You're gonna step into trusting that you already have the answers. And like, obviously when you step into a coaching program or a group, you're going to be able to ask other people for their input because they have some other experience that might help you, for sure. It's not about doing it all by yourself, but it is about learning to trust your own intuition and trust what you want is the right way. You know what I mean? Yes, you need to be called out. Yes. Leadership, this piece here is huge. And what I mean by leadership is this is you deciding to step up into next level version of yourself. So remember when we talked on day one about finding your fire, it's like, who do I want to become? What do I want to be known for? Chances are, if you're in this breakthrough challenge right now, you are not where you want to be in terms of your next level, right? You want to up level. You want to go and you want to execute. You want to do things that you said you were going to do. You want to take your strategy and your systems that you laid out yesterday and you want to go and see them through all the way until they're working. So I talked a lot yesterday about how if you pivot too much, you shoot yourself in the foot because all that momentum that you've already gained, it disappears, right? That's not rocket science. That's just straightforward. So this piece here is where most of you are going to need the help. It's stepping into your power. It's trusting yourself. Stop getting distracted by all the things. Stop thinking you need to copy somebody else. And I don't mean copy like plagiarize. I mean like, if I could just watch this person and how they do it, then I could go and do something similar to them. It's like, yeah, at the end of the day, you don't want to reinvent the wheel. So you probably already have a couple strategies in mind that you like the idea of. And if not, then you definitely need to start reaching out and asking for help with that. But also it has to be something that can be your own. That's how all those gurus are getting to 7 and 8 figures. Is they're figuring out how they like to work, how they like to pull their people in, how they like to deliver. It doesn't have to be cookie cutter. So I really highly encourage you guys, stop looking for the magic bullet. There is no magic bullet. You showing up and stepping into your power is the magic bullet. That is the secret sauce, right? If you show up consistently, you literally will have more success than doing any right way that you could find on the internet. And name it. What are you naming? Okay, leadership. I get out of breath really easily these days. All right, I want to know from you guys, what do you feel like your biggest struggle is when it comes to executing? Which is like taking the action that you said you were going to take. Do you feel like you're in avoidance? Do you feel like there's limiting beliefs coming up? Is it fear? Are you self-sabotaging? Like, what's going on? Because this is the toughest part, is this. The other thing is that I want to talk about a course that I took. I mentioned this the other day. I think I'm gonna have to do a separate training, or maybe I'll just wait until my program starts. But basically, I took a course from Ask Harriet. If you go on Instagram, Ask Harriet, she's out of the UK. She is very woo, very into the energetics, but I just resonate with what she says all the time, and her stuff just makes sense to me. Like, you know when you just listen to somebody talk and you're just like, yep, you're my people. I'm not as crazy woo as you, but I feel like I totally, like what you're saying to me, even about the energetics and the soul, human having a soul experience, whatever, all that stuff, that's not usually me. I can't go too far into that, otherwise I feel like I lose my footing, you know what I mean? I don't feel grounded, so I don't feel like I can move forward. But I like to have a little bit of both sides of the perspective, like the hard strategy over here, and then the woo over here, because I like to hear a little bit of that. Because it does start to make sense to me. And as I grow and as I move to my next level, I feel like it's important to do that. But again, if you are always taking courses, then you're never focused on taking action. And first we need to put the action into place, right? Find your fire, map it out, and freaking execute. That is what you need to do. And so I think for the first 90 days, you put on the blinders and you just execute and you build out everything that you said in your map, including your map if you don't have one built. And then the second 90 days, which would get you to 6 months, is literally like, okay, now I can tweak. Now I know that I don't like this or I do like this, but you have to give it a solid go before you just decide that you're going to stop and pivot and go do something totally different. You know what I mean? It's so key to keep your momentum going. Perfection, fear of failure, not having an end goal. You're more woo than you think. Thanks. I would never classify myself as woo, but I'm very intuitive when it comes to my coaching. So if that makes me woo, then I guess I'm woo. But maybe that's part of me leveling up into my next level, is owning the fact that I'm more woo than I think. But it's so funny because I think for a lot of us, I'm always trying to hide that damn laundry basket, but this thing keeps turning. Okay. When I was in corporate, I think a lot of us have this background. It's just like, there's no not in my experience anyway. I was in the old boys club. I was in sales. I dealt with a lot of construction and oil field clients. Like, it was not what I do now. There were no feelings. There was no intuition, right? It was just like, can you pound the pavement and make the sales? Yes or no? You know what I mean? Up leveling. Yeah. So anyways, yeah, it's interesting how I never knew that I was an intuitive person until I started listening to the woo, which is why I like the woo. But if I go too woo, then I feel like I can't hit the ground. Like, I feel like I'm not able to move forward because I get too crazy in my head or something. So that's where I'm at. My next level might be different. I think we all have next levels that are different. Okay, so what else do you guys want to talk about today? I feel like this is like a fun, easygoing one. Oh, I was going to talk about that course. So I think I'll do a separate training once I start my program. But I want to, like, I'll summarize it for you guys, but I highly encourage you to just go take the course. DM me if you want the link for it. It's called Fast Energy, Fast Cash or something, but it talks about the 10 energy bodies in a way that I could actually absorb, and I understood it. So it was like, here are the fears that come up, and here's the antidote for it. And here's why. And here are the choices. So she calls it duality in each energy body. Like, you have faith and fear. So here's why fear comes into play. It's because it's a perception of a reality that you perceive that could come true. So fear is not like, you can't just brush fear under the carpet, which I agree with. She's like, but it's your perception of a reality that could come true. So maybe it's from, you know, it could be from a past life, which I don't know if I'm into past lives. That's where I draw the line with my woo, but maybe next level I will. But she's just saying, like, it could be from how I internalize it is, it could be from a radio thing that you've heard, or could be from a story that you saw on the internet years ago, or could be from a fear, like a possibility that happened to, like, I'll give you a good example that we can all relate to. We've all heard horrible stories of how kids have died, right? And then we internalize that fear as a possibility for our own kids, even though the circumstances might be totally different. We still feel that fear, which is a perceived reality of a possible outcome. And so even though that's not from our own experience, it's a perceived reality because of somebody else's experience that we heard about. And the exact same thing happens to us in business. We watch other people. Sometimes the fear is, okay, well, how come she's succeeding and I'm not? Like, I had somebody on a call not too long ago that was super honest and just said, like, hey, I'm watching this friend of mine, and she is not as good of a coach as me. She does not get results for people, and she is skyrocketing, and I don't understand why people are paying to jump into her programs when I feel like I could get them such better results. And it wasn't like a competition because they're in a different space, but she was like, why am I not succeeding? And she is. Like, I don't get it. So now you're in this, like, self-critical judgment mode, which is blocking energy of receiving, right? And you need to be, when you're trying to manifest or co-create something, this is the woo piece coming back in again, you have to be open to, like, giving and receiving energy, right? And so if you're in judgment, you're closing down one of your energy bodies, which is probably why you're not succeeding. Interesting, right? But at the end of the day, usually what it comes down to is, does that girl believe that she can help someone? And is she showing up in a big way? She's probably stepping into her power. She probably sells the crap out of her stuff, not because she's a perfect salesperson, but because she's trusting and stepping into her personal power. Too many ideas for masterminds, courses, etc. I get the wobble where it's too overwhelming. Okay, that is one of, like, the things that comes up almost every single time for my clients is I have so many ideas swirling around in my head. Like, how do I pick one and stay focused on it, right? The wobble, I like the wobble. It's too overwhelming because you don't know where to start, or you don't know which one to execute on. And at the end of the day, sometimes that just comes down to you map it out and make decisions and move forward, because you can always change it later. You can always add to it, or you can shift things later. But at the end of the day, the pieces that are the most important to really focus on and learn are, once you create the systems here, you need to pick strategies that make sense for you. And then you create a system, which is your action steps of how you go execute that. So that it doesn't matter what you're selling, you know this process inside out, and you know that you can go do it. And now all of a sudden you have this confidence where even if you decided, like, I was a one-on-one coach, that's what I've always been, and I decided, you know what, I would really love to get more into a group program atmosphere because I love the energy of groups. I love the energy of more than one person, you know what I mean? So in my group that I'm creating, it's going to be on Zoom so that we can actually interact all the time with each other. Facebook Lives are tough because sometimes you're still pulling comments, but it's different than actually being able to have live conversations. So for me, it was like, I know the process that I need to go through. And like Liz will tell you too, like challenges don't always equal instant results. Sometimes you need to shift them. Sometimes you need to revamp them. But the process that you're putting in place, the system of putting butts in the seats, getting people to engage, having people watch the replay, and then putting together an email sequence that goes out afterwards in order to actually have your kind of sales introduction and process going. That's a process that once you understand and learn and start to succeed with, that you can apply that to whatever you decide to sell in an offer. So if you feel like I have all these ideas, it's like, okay, but let's just nail down first your visibility strategy, your lead gen strategy, and whatever your customer journey process looks like first. Let's just start with the course that you wanted to sell. I think it was $300. Let's just start with that. And then as you get successful with this in the process and you execute, then you can add other offers, or you can shift into something different if you want to. But the point is that if we continue to spin and overwhelm all the time, then you literally will not move forward. And that will just make you crazy and make you want to quit. Zoom is better with live conversations. Humans crave connections. I absolutely agree with that. Okay, so I'm going to pitch. This is my grand pitch. I don't feel weird about it. I'm just going to tell you straight up that I'm going to tell you how you can work with me now. Oh my gosh, this thing is getting crazy. Okay, I like purple, so let's do this one. What is happening here? Whatever, that's better. So in the middle of the night last night, I woke up at 3:30 in the morning, literally. And I was like, I feel like there's something missing in my offer. So I decided to change it. Because a lot of you have told me that you're in different places in your business, different budgets, but also different places in terms of how much time you have to contribute to your business every month or every week, I mean. And so some of you are like, I'm in the learning building blocks phase. Some of you are like, I feel like I've already got lots of the building blocks in place. I just need to put them all together so that they flow and so that they work. But I need to get unstuck because that's what's going on with me. Like I feel like even when I get on a roll, then I spin and I have problems and I get stuck. And then there's the next level of people who are like, I want it all, give it to me. Like I want mentorship, I want coaching, I want access to you all the time. Like, so there's 3 different levels. So I decided to make 3 different offers. So this program was supposed to be called Own Your Fire, and I'm creating it live with you right now. So it's going to be 6 months, and there's going to be 3 different levels that you can choose from. Because I think that it's important that there are different levels that you can come in on, but I wanted to create something where I didn't have to create 3 different programs. I want to create one, and then you get to choose what level you want to come in on. So the business basics is going to be basically what I went through on the whole map it out page. It's going to be find your fire. It's going to be all the pieces of map it out. And it's going to be like the building blocks of execute. But basically it's going to be a call on Tuesdays. And it's going to be me teaching a piece of that. And then you'll have access to all the recordings of all the Tuesday calls as well. And then it's going to be Q&A at the end. So you come and you learn one of the pieces that I talked about. If you need to work on the building blocks in your business, this is key for you. And then you're going to get to ask all the questions you want afterwards. And then also you'll have access in the Facebook group to ask questions whenever you need to too. But I wanted something that is like super affordable for some of you who don't have, you're just not in a stage right now where you want to spend thousands of dollars a month, right? Okay, so that's option 1. Then hybrid is for those of you who want to come in for the business basics call on Tuesdays, hopefully that's clear. This is going to be the basics. Plus a Thursday hot seat coaching call. I'm gonna have to move this down. That's $555 a month. Another color here. And then we're gonna go VIP. So that's gonna be 3 in 1. So 1, 2, 3 in 1. So it's going to be all of this. You guys see this? There you go. Okay, this is the program that I created at 3:30 in the morning last night. I decided, I'm getting a little dizzy here, I gotta sit down. I decided that I wanted 3 different levels because I want you guys to have the access to me that you want and that you need. So some of you are like, I wanna come in and I wanna build all the basics out, which is the whole map it out day, right? I'm gonna walk you through branding, I'm gonna walk you through messaging, I'm gonna walk you through your audience, I'm gonna walk you through your offers and how to create them, I'm gonna walk you through the whatever it is that you wanna sell and your goals, right? There's all of that piece, your business basics, and then we have to then move to like section 2 will be all about strategy, and section 3 will be all about systems. Where was the business basics when you started? I created it at 3:30 in the morning last night, so it's brand new. Okay, so the business basics is going to give you access to me once a week. So I'm going to teach something on Tuesdays. My calls are going to be at noon Mountain Time, so that's 2 o'clock Eastern. So I'm going to teach something and then I'm going to follow it up with Q&A, and I will stay on the call for Q&A until everyone gets all of the questions that they have answered. And you'll have access to the replays of the Tuesday calls. So I'll just put them in like a little content bank, and then you can catch up on them later if you can't make it to the calls live. And I will also have a Google form that's linked at the top of our Facebook group, where if you can't make it to the call on Tuesday, you can drop your question in there. So that's going to be all about building out pieces of the business that we talked about and map it out. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, Liz, no problem. I'll talk to you in a bit. And then the hybrid version is for those of you who want to come in for the business basics. You get access to all the recordings, and then we're going to have a Thursday hot seat coaching call, which is like the wild, wild west of coaching calls. You can come in and talk to me about anything that you're struggling with. And some days there might be 2 girls on the call, and some days there might be 4, and some days there might be 10. But I will literally, again, stay on the call until everyone has all of their stuff fixed. You know, I will get you the breakthrough that you need, I will get you the clarity you need, and I will move you forward in a huge way. This is going to be huge. For any of you that are like, hey, I know I have lots of these pieces built out already. It's just, I need help moving forward. I need like just tweaks being made. I struggle with mindset. I struggle with limiting beliefs or fears or whatever. Like whatever it is that is holding you back that week, you come to that Thursday call and I will move you forward. I promise you that. I am a breakthrough coach. That is my specialty. And then the third level is some of you are like, hey, well, I love all this, but I also want one-on-one support. And that's cool. So I have one-on-one coaching packages, but I thought, well, what would be like a little, you know, a version of that I could add, because you would already have access to me twice a week, right? Which is already a ton. And then I'll do a one-on-one call with you, a 60-minute one-on-one call, or 50-minute, I guess, because I always go over my time. One-on-one call per month, and Voxer support. If you don't know what Voxer is, it's a walkie-talkie app, just like Messenger, where you can voice note or text or send gifts or pictures, whatever. And the majority of my clients use it all the time because you can have conversations without ever having to be scheduled. You know what I mean? So if I'm out and about with my kids and I'm running around dropping somebody off and you're like, I feel like what we talked about yesterday, I felt so clear yesterday, but today I feel like I'm spinning and I'm overwhelmed again, and I just, like, what the hell's going on? And then I can just jump back in and just, it's like a pocket coaching call, right? So if you're like, I created this landing page, I just feel like something's not right about it, like send me a screenshot of it and I'll just be like, well, I feel like for the message you're going for, or for the client that you're trying to attract, like maybe use these words. Like it can be as simple as that. I want to be the coach that can help you with the micro decisions, because that is where the majority of us get stuck, is in the micro decisions, the little tiny daily decisions where we're just like, bah, and then we go into avoidance. We go into learning mode, we go into distraction, we go into gotta do my laundry, right? I want you to get super, super laser focused on exactly what you need to do, because the name of the game for this whole thing is to own your fire and execute. So does that make sense? Does anyone have questions? Business Basics call Tuesdays and access to the Facebook group is $222 a month. This is for 6 months. There are painful options that will give you a discount too, so you can ask me about those if you want to do that. The hybrid model is the Tuesday call, the Facebook group, and the Thursday call, which is the Wild Wild West of coaching. I think you guys will love that one. That's $555 a month. And then if you want to add one-on-one support as well, if you feel like you need that, that's totally cool. So you get a one-on-one call with me and Voxer support, plus the Facebook group, plus those other 2 calls. That's a ton of access to me, especially if you have Voxer support as well. It's going to be a ton. You will not need more support than that. You will move forward absolutely in your business. What we want to do is get you to a place where you feel super clear. You need the clarity, the confidence, and the commitment to go all in, right? Because you need to show up consistently. And that's what we talked about here. When you execute, I want to teach you how to step into your fire. I want you to own it, your power. That is where all your good ideas from. That is what's going to set you apart from the rest. You have to stop chasing what you think is right and just go after what is you. You know what I mean? So step into your power. I'm going to teach you how to trust yourself. And then you're going to step into the next level you. Because if you learn how to lead yourself, your business will explode. Absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to leave you with that. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments below. Happy to answer questions. If you would like to talk to me about where you're at in your business, which one you think would fit best, or other options to work with me, you can just DM me. And I'll throw you guys a message and just say, hey, how'd you like the challenge? Because I really feel like the biggest gap is that we get a strategy or a system or something figured out and then we don't execute. So that's exactly what we're going to work on here. We're going to execute. This is what this is all about. So you choose the level of support you need. It's $222. This is US prices. $222 a month, $555 or $1111. And if you want to pay in full, then there's a discount. So ask me about those. Anyone have any questions? Okay, good. I think I stayed under time today, which is not normal for me. Okay, have a great day, ladies. Let me know where you're at, where you think you need support, and then we can move forward. We're gonna start next week, so get your booty ready. Okay, have a great weekend, and let me know if you're still struggling with any of those pieces that we talked about yesterday, and I can definitely jump into the DMs and help you. Have a good day. Cheers.